Righty right. My name is Boris and I'm gonna show you today how to play bass. Of course it's a complex thing, but I'm gonna show you the basics of how to build a bass line. You know the situation that you have a song with certain chord progressions and you looking for possibilities. How can I build my bass line? Okay, I expect you to know the basics about the musical system, so like the 12 tones that we have on our bass guitar, which is actually tuned the same as a normal guitar, as the 4 or 6 strings of the normal guitar. And I also expect you to know a little bit about the harmony, so what is an interval, for example, what is a major third, what is a fifth. Of course you can accompany a song, you can accompany the chord with a root, with its root. So for example, if it's A minor, or A major, or A minor 7th 9, whatever chord, you can also, of course, always take an A, and will, of course, never be wrong. So, also most bass lines start with a root. So you can rhythmically do different things. You can play it with 8s. Like that, more for a rock song, for a real rocker. Distorted guitars, heavy metal and stuff. Okay, you can also of course take just the root and do it more like that. Ah, here you go. Okay. Yeah, that would be like more Motown style. Okay, let's go and see what else can we do apart from just using the root. We can use the root and its fifth. So a very common bass pattern which you find on all kinds of country and rock and roll songs. If you have, for example, a tone here, the root on the tone E, here on the D string on the 2nd fret, no? You will always find the fifth on the same fret, just 1 string thicker, so on the A string. I don't even have to know that it's a B. For me it's just the fifth of the E, of the root. But you also find the same tone here, this B. You also find it on the G string, so 1 string thinner from the root and 2 frets up. Here you have the B. And in some cases it sounds better if you do it like, you play of course the root first, and then you can go to the deeper fifth, or you can go to the higher fifth. Okay, rhythmically you can of course also vary this thing, no? You can do and you can do it, of course, with every chord, independent if it's minor or a major chord. So, C major, like that, or like that. Yeah, or also a C minor and C major would be the same bass pattern. Okay, let's go a step further. We have also a possibility to use the triads, which involve the root as well as a fifth and also a third. So that's the basics, the 3 tones of any major or minor chord. The root, the third and the fifth. Though by the major chord you will have a major third, and by the minor chord you would have the minor third, which will lie just half step, just a fret below it usually, no? Okay, let's see how we do it. We have a pattern. We have here the, for example, let's stay with the C. We have here the root of the chord, the note C. Then we have the fifth, 1 string thinner and 2 frets up from C. Yeah? And of course for a triad we need a third tone. So in the case of a major chord we have a major third. If you have the root here you will find the major third always 1 string thinner, 1 fret lower, here. So, see the root here, here the major third, and here the perfect fifth. So there are three of them, but usually if you play in 4 quarters you would want 4 notes, for example, if you have a walking bass. So you start with the root, go to the major third, go to the fifth, and then return to the major third. So you have a complete pattern going like this. Yeah, and with this pattern you can of course accompany every major chord, also with options if there's any 7th or 9th there. As a bass player you're more orientated on the basics, on the harmonic basics, so it will be usually the triads, the root, the third and the fifth. So with a minor chord we also have the root here, we have the fifth at the same place, but our minor third, which we need for our minor chord, we find better here on the same string as the root, 3 frets up, 3 half steps up, no? And as we have the fifth here staying, we have a following bass line, no? The root, the minor third, the fifth, and we return to the minor third. So we have something like this. Maybe we say a few words about fretting and playing with the right hand too. Let's see, if we would have, for example, a progression C minor, then F minor, then G7, so G major, and back to C minor. So what could we do? We could use the root, and that will be like C, F, G, C. I played it with 8 notes, a bar each, no? If we want to use the root and the fifth, so our typical like country bass style, no? We have to the downer fifth on the same fret, 1 string thicker. That's what we do for the C, no? For example. We could do as well. Then for the F, we cannot go a string thicker, we have no string thicker, so we go up here. And from the G, the same thing. And return to the C. So note that independent from if it's like a major chord or a minor chord, we use the same pattern, no? So they're pretty universal. Okay, the same with the country bass that I played before. If we're going to use the triads, now it's gotten a bit more complicated because we have like C minor, so we have to have a minor triad. For the F chord, we also have to have a minor triad. Same shape. But for the G, it's a G7, so it's a major chord, so we have a major third in our triad. And it goes then like that. Okay, and the whole thing would be then we can do rhythmical variations, so sometimes it would be nicer if we play something like that. You should practice these patterns on all the 12 tones. Also learn the tones on your fretboard. With these 3 methods, the root, a combination of a root and a fifth, and the triads, which is the root, the fifth and the third, you can accompany lots of songs in lots of different musical styles. Have fun with it.